regular board meeting of the Poway Unified School District School Board. Welcome, everyone. Our first order of business is the report out of closed session. Madam Clerk.
Good evening. So the report out of closed session began at 4:40 p.m. The Board of Education took the following action in closed session. Item number 1, in the matter of conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, case number 372015-00003285-CU-MC-CTL, on a motion by T.J. Zane and a second by Kimberly Beatty, the board voted to reject the settlement offer. The vote of the board was as follows: 5 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 abstentions. Item number 2, in the matter of public employee discipline, there was no reportable action. Item number 3, in the matter of conference with real property negotiators, parcel number 678-070-25-00, then 312-293-11-00, and 306-250-27-00 and 306-250-32-00. There was no reportable action. Item number 4, in the matter of conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, there was no reportable action. And the last one, item number 5, in the matter of conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, name of case, Poway Unified School District v. John Collins, SDSC Central District, case number 37-2016-000-23931. There was no reportable action. There were no other reportable action taken during closed session. Closed session adjourned at 5:53 on today's date. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to invite you to stand and say the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Please note that all members are in attendance tonight. And for our welcome to the public, Mr. Zane.
Good evening. Welcome, everyone. I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus, Happy New Year, and a great Martin Luther King Day yesterday. Welcome to the monthly meeting of the Board of Education. Item C is placed on our agenda to enable members of our community to bring items that are not placed anywhere else on the agenda to the board's attention. If you would like to address the board on any agenda item, please complete a speaker slip. All requests to speak must be submitted to the executive assistant before the agenda item comes up. If you are requesting an agenda item be pulled for public discussion from Section E, Consent Calendar, a speaker slip must be submitted to the executive assistant now, as approval of the consent calendar is one of the first items up for approval. The board is responsible for setting policy and direction for the students of Poway Unified School District. It is important to the community that civility and good role modeling be a very real part of our proceedings. Students are always present at board meetings, and our meetings are live streamed via the internet, and recorded copies are posted on the PowayUSD website. Speaking time is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, with a maximum 15 minutes per side of each topic unless waived by the board president. There will be a 30-second warning when time is running out. Speakers may only speak on one topic under item C and may not defer their speaking time to another individual. Vulgarity and profanity will not be allowed. If you have a complaint or charge against a specific PowayUSD employee, it is recommended that you submit a formal complaint as outlined in our board policy procedure 4.106.2. The final step in this process provides the board with the ability to hear an appeal of a complaint if the board is so chooses. If you are voicing a complaint against an employee in order to protect the employee's right to adequate notice before a hearing of such a complaint and to preserve the ability of the board to legally consider the complaint in any subsequent evaluation of the employee, it is the policy of the board to hear the complaint in closed session. If you have any written materials for the board to review that would provide more specific information, please submit them to the executive assistant. The Brown Act does not permit board action or extended discussion of any item not on the agenda, but your concerns will be referred to staff. With that said, welcome and thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zane. With that, item A6 is our approval of minutes. These are the minutes from our December 13th regular board meeting. Are there any changes? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second?
On a motion by Mr. Zane, second by Dr. Patel. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you. A7 is the approval of our agenda sequence as presented. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? All right, on a motion by Mr. Zane, second by Mr. Sellers. Any further discussion on this one? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so our agenda sequence is approved. Now the consent calendar, item A8. I'll start down with our student board member, Ms. Smith. Is there any item you'd like to pull?
Nothing to pull.
Mr. Sellers? Nothing?
Nothing.
And nothing for me. Are there any items from the public that the public wishes to pull? Clerk Patel.
No, they're all items.
Okay, in that case, I will take a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Second. On a motion by Mr. Zane, second by Ms. Beatty. Any further discussion on the consent calendar? All right, seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the consent calendar passes unanimously, and we are right on to our student board representative reports, item B1. Hooray! Hello, nice to see all of your shining smiley faces there. I think let's start at the top. Ms. Cloutier from Del Norte High School, welcome.
Good evening and Happy New Year. It is my privilege to report to the board. Here's what's been happening at the Nest. College ready. Nighthawks just hit the 6-week grading period, and this week we have parent-teacher conferences. We are very lucky to have such awesome teachers who dedicate so much time to making sure their students succeed. Our counselors have been hosting their annual 9th, 10th, and 11th grade parent nights. They've been passing out important information and keeping parents and students updated on everything they need to be prepared for after high school. Seniors, for the most part, have finished their college applications. While the busy college app season has ended, now our seniors are anxiously waiting to hear back from their schools. We are so proud of all of their hard work. Future focused. All of our winter sports teams are doing awesome. Our girls basketball team had a big victory over Fallbrook this past week, and boys basketball defeated San Diego Academy 58-56. Our improv team hosted their first show of the 2010 school year. They filled the whole PAC and, of course, had the whole room laughing for the whole 2 hours. As I'm sure many of you know, Del Norte's Mrs. Gross is a finalist for the National Teacher of the Year. We, of course, continue to be incredibly proud of her and are equally incredibly honored that she is a Nighthawk teacher. ASB is also hosting our informal dance on Saturday, themed Glow. It will be a blacklight dance, and we are very excited to see how it turns out. Globally aware. ASB is also hosting a blood drive this week on Thursday. Almost all of our slots are filled, and we are very excited to see how much blood we will be able to donate. We think we're going to get over our record. Last week, we also had a group of Australian foreign exchange students visit the Nest. We were so excited to have them and enjoyed showing them around and how to flock with the Nighthawks. Thank you all for listening, and as always, today is a great day to be a Nighthawk.
Good luck with the blood drive. No one from Abrax is here, but they're going to give everybody a run for their money on those blood drives. So good luck. I hope you have a record set. We don't have anyone from Mount Carmel today. Trevor George from Poway High School, welcome.
Good evening. My name is Trevor George, and I am the Poway High School ASB President for the year of 2017. The students of Poway High School have been extremely busy over the last months. Students prepared for and took final exams last week and were transitioned into the new semester. Just before winter break, Poway High School's drawing and painting students under the direction of Miss Hensley participated in a portrait project called the Memory Project. The Memory Project is a nonprofit organization that invites art students to volunteer to create portraits for disadvantaged children around the world. This is the 6th time Poway High School art students have participated. This time, they created portraits for orphans in Colombia. We were lucky enough to be able to watch a video of the children receive their portraits. ASB is excited to host our annual Morp Dance this Saturday. We look forward to celebrating the start of the new semester with a fun and informal dance. Our Titan Theater Club is in the process of rehearsing for this year's spring musical. a drowsy chaperone. Our boys soccer team has been ranked one of San Diego's top 5, and all of our winter athletes have been training hard for this season, as well as our wrestling team being ranked number 1 in the county. That's all for this month, and I look forward to updating you next month. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I think all of the board members received the video on the memory project. That was really outstanding. Very inspirational, actually. Thank you very much. Jalen Rasul from Rancho Bernardo High School. Welcome.
Good evening, community members. My name is Jalen Rasul from Rancho Bernardo High School, and I'm the new ASB president. We have a lot of things to be proud of at Rancho Bernardo High School. To wrap up our fall sports, our girls field hockey won their first CIF championship in school history. The Rancho Bernardo band is proud that 7 members from the band program were selected for the Southern California School Band and Orchestra Association All-Southern Honor Band, and 4 members were selected for the California All-State Music Education Association All-State Honor Band. The PUSD High School choirs will be performing John Rutter's Magnificat. This performance will be held on Thursday, January 19th at 7 p.m. at the Poway Performing Arts Center. The choirs will be accompanied by a professional orchestra and will be directed by John Tebey from Fullerton College. Our Spanish 5-6 students entered their semester as teachers for the day at Valley Elementary. They visited the first grade dual language classes, teaching the students in Spanish about our environment and how to take care of it. RBHS students created engaging activities, crafts, and games. The RBHS Friends of the Library was recently given a $1,000 check from longtime RBHS supporter Mr. Keith Wilson. This donation was made to honor FOL founding members Dick Mason and Shirley Black for their outstanding commitment and passion in supporting our school library. We also have a lot of things to be excited about and working on. We just started our second term of the 4x4 schedule, and a lot of students are having new classes with new teachers. We are getting ready for our winter formal at the Escondido Performing Arts Center, and the theme is Once Upon a Winter's Dream. The Friends of the Library are hosting their annual FOL Booking for the Broncos 5K walk this Sunday at the RB Community Park. The Mural Club has started their mural, designed by our own Christine Peng of RBHS Music, in the breezeway between the PAC and the music classrooms. We look forward to seeing the finished project. ASB just selected new positions for the new term, and the new students are looking forward to getting involved. All our winter sports are headed into league play, so it's an exciting time to come watch some games. Thank you for your attention, and it's always great to be a Bronco.
Thank you very much. And from Westview High School, Nathan Shaw. Welcome.
Hello, Poway Unified School District. My name is Nathan Shaw, and I'm grateful to serve as the newly elected ASB president of Westview High School. First and foremost, it is an honor to represent Westview here tonight, and I will strive to fill the very large booths left behind by my predecessor, Ella Smith. The world of performing arts has been very busy. Westview Theater is preparing for their winter play, Steel Magnolias, which will feature a small but powerful cast. Westview Dance Troupe is currently preparing for their first competition hosted at Rancho Bernardo High School. Our very own Westview Orchestra, under the direction of Jerry Webb, has had the opportunity to perform in concert with Broadway actor, dancer, and singer Ben Vereen, the first of its kind for Ben and our orchestra students. It was a collaboration between professionals and students. With large icons such as Lisa Minnelli in attendance, this concert was an amazing opportunity for our students, challenging them and giving them the opportunity to grow as musicians. While students were given the day off this past Friday, a much-needed break after Semester 1 finals, our staff came together early that morning for the Professional Growth Day. They were given a lesson in French to remind them of what ELL students face every single day. This exercise stood to remind them of tools they could use to be sure that they're serving this demographic. They also took some time to collaborate in small groups regarding intervention and how to best meet the needs of students on our campus. After serving Westview High School for many years, NJ ROTC instructor Commander Jordan has been offered the great role to manage the entire NJ ROTC program of Southern California as well as Arizona. At his time here at Westview, Commander Jordan grew a very small program into a large and prestigious establishment that serves all PowayUSD high school students. His diligence and dedication took back 4 state championship titles. We are forever grateful for all that he has done and wish him the best in the future. We would also like to welcome Steve Brew, who will now be overseeing the Westview NJ ROTC program. To celebrate the end of Semester 1 and commemorate the start of Semester 2, Westview ASB is excited to announce Westview Winter Formal, Hollywood movie premiere, which will take place on February 11th at the Rancho Bernardo Inn. To ensure that every student has the opportunity to attend the dance, we will be implementing the Pay It Forward program, which allows students to donate money during ticket sales and to their peers who wish to attend the event but do not have the financial resources to do so. The implementation of this program is a large step towards campus unity as students are given the opportunity to assist one another. On behalf of Westview ASB, we will continue working towards creating a more positive atmosphere on our campus, promoting unity, diversity, and culture. Thank you.
All right, look it up. Liza Minnelli, somewhere on Netflix. You can find her. She was sitting right in front of me at that event. It was pretty neat. I could almost touch her. It was fun. All right, thank you very much, though. We realize it's the beginning of the semester, but you probably have things to do, so you can leave or hang around, see what we're up to. Thank you all very much, though. Our next item is B2. This is our superintendent's briefing. Dr. Apostle.
Yes, thank you, Madam President, members of the board and audience. We have many recognitions of note to present to the board this evening. Please look at the packet for the full descriptions in B2. I encourage you to read them, of course. In the interest of time, we will highlight a couple national honors tonight. Del Norte's high school, Megan Gross, is one of 4 finalists for National Teacher of the Year. She's already Poway Unified's Teacher of the Year, the County Teacher of the Year, and the State Teacher of the Year. And we've heard a lot about this, and we are in her corner, and the winner will be announced later this spring. Of course, we're rooting for Megan and hope that she comes out number 1. But we know already she's our number 1. Oak Valley Middle School's Tracy Jackson returned from New York City earlier this month after receiving the 2016 Rosenthal Prize for Innovation in Math Teaching. Tracy was awarded $25,000 cash prize and will share her lessons with educators across the country. Every month, we hope to showcase one of our school's art, writing, or photography at our board meetings to bring our students' amazing work to you. This month, the artwork in the glass showcase and robot in the lobby belong to the students of Poway High School. Representing the school are teachers Roger Dome and Heidi Hensley. Welcome to our board meeting this evening. Please come up and tell us a little bit about your program. Roger, Heidi?
Honorable trustees and Superintendent Apostle, we thank you for inviting us to come, and it's my pleasure to present 3 of our students, Ryan Barnett, Chris Shaw, and Anna Peroni. And they're here to demonstrate the VEX robot. We just competed in this competition. We went to 3 different events, and we had the pleasure also of our board president being able to come to our facility and actually see the robot in action. So we thought we'd bring it directly to you so you can have an experience. Now, the program that we run robotics is actually through the Engineering Academy that we have at Poway High School. And the Engineering Academy is a set of courses that students can commit to based upon an application process. And if they decide that they don't want to have that direction, they can also just take courses as a pathway. Students that choose to do that, it has a huge advantage for them. In fact, we have a student that just recently received a phone call from MIT, and he's going to be having an interview for hopefully getting into MIT. What's interesting about that is the student has taken no AP courses at all. So I want to make sure that you understand the advantage of the Engineering Academy and what it's doing for students. The students that are in that program actually take an end-of-the-year assessment very similar to an AP test. It's an assessment, an end-of-year assessment like that. But the difference is that they have to score a 6 or higher all the way up to 9, and then they can get college credit from the university in their program major in engineering. So our students last year, we had 50% of the students receive college credit. And what was great about it is when I came back the following semester in the fall, they all came back showing me their transcripts from Rochester Institute of Technology, so that was pretty exciting. Also out in the lobby, we have several works from the architecture classes and also from the 3D animation and design program. And you're welcome to go out into the lobby and to look at those. Well, with further ado, because we only have 3 minutes, I wanted to make sure that you had something that you could take with you along with just seeing the stuff in the lobby. So it is driving, so you can stand up and look at it. So that's a small example of what it can do, and it actually picks things up, and it has to place things in certain goal areas on the field. So the students in the classes actually build robots in 3 different classes. And then actually we have our award-winning robotics team, which is actually internationally known, robotics team First 1622 Spider. And we've actually gone to the World Championship 8 times now. And we're really into being a safe environment and safety for individuals. And we won the safety award 17 times now since 2005. That's a pretty huge undertaking. Additionally, we have made something for you. Now, our Madam President has one of these. Very few people have one of these, but we wanted to make sure that every board member had an opportunity to have one of these for their house. And we wanted to give this to you, not a robot, but it's coming. But we wanted to give this to you as a thank you for your service. We, as a robotics team and as an academy, we do lots of community service. So we really understand what you're doing, and we want to thank you for that public service. So the students here actually made these for you with our laser engraver and the technology in the classroom. Just one at a time. So we have one for Mr. T.J. Zane, board member. Honorable Trustee Kimberly Beatty. Honorable Trustee Dr. Patel. Honorable Trustee Charles Sellers. And lastly but not least, our Madam President. And since her name is so long, she gets the largest one. That's just how it works when you have a big name, you know. But anyways, we just want to thank you for your service and thank you for having us come and celebrating the great work that the students have done. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. Great work, and we look forward to continuing wonderful progress as well. Another showcase of student work that I want to highlight tonight is the Excellence in Education video. It's a collaboration between... Oh, I'm sorry. Heidi, please come up.
Thank you. I didn't know if Roger took my 3 minutes.
I wasn't quite sure exactly how the presentation would go if you were sharing it, but we'd really like to have you have that time down, too.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here this evening and for having both of us here. And for viewing the Memory Project video. That was a project that my students have been involved in for several years now. And I'm really proud of their work, and it gives them a chance to reach out to communities all over the world and see how they can touch lives of people with their artwork, and I think that's been very meaningful for them. I'm happy to say that at Poway High School, the drawing and painting program is a very strong program. We have level 1, 2, 3, 4, studio, and AP, so students have an opportunity to earn advanced placement credit and potentially college credit for taking that class. Recently, we've been working with the CTE office, and so we are now developing a career pathway for students in drawing and painting, and that's really exciting. The work that you see out in the lobby is a representational sample of the student work from level 1 all the way through to AP, where students choose their own concentration and they begin to work as a professional artist would, choosing a theme that's important and meaningful to them and creating their artwork along that theme. In the level 1 classes, we work with the foundation of drawing from observation, and they really develop and just about master those skills. And as we go on to level 2 and beyond, they begin to master the painting skills and work from observation, and then we begin to do some abstract and non-representational work as well. So many students go on to study art in college and to pursue careers in college. Some do not, but they never see the world the same after they take one of my classes. They begin to see things that they didn't notice before, and that's kind of what it's all about. We also experience a lot of success at the San Diego County Fair. Every year we submit anywhere between 50 and 100 pieces. And one of my students had the Best in Show at the Groff Show, which is a very competitive show for students. So we're showing at the Groff as well this spring. And if you get a chance to come to our Eye on Art show, it's May 4th this year. It's a student showcase of the entire department's work. And there's food, live music. It's a lot of fun. So I'll send you an invitation closer to the time as well. But that's sort of the culminating activity for our year's work. So thank you so much for having me this evening.
Thank you, Heidi, for sharing the accomplishments of your students, and we're just proud of the program growth that you're demonstrating. We will continue to follow it closely. Let's see. I'll go back again and restate what I said earlier. Another showcase of student work that I want to highlight tonight is the Excellence in Education video. It's a collaboration between CTE, our communications director, and advanced digital media students. The goal of this internship is to increase awareness of programs that support our district's mission of college and career readiness. Tonight's piece focuses on one of Poway Unified's newer career pathways, Biomedical Science, to meet the needs of one of the fastest growing and in-demand fields in the San Diego area. So at this time, we'd like to see the video.
At Del Norte High School, they're taking a hands-on approach to learning, literally. These students are building detailed models of digestive organs as part of their biomedical science and human body systems classes.
It's a lot more project-based, which allows me to do more like hands-on integrated work. Instead of just learning a concept, I get to actually put it into action and see how it affects real people.
Many of the students enroll in these classes with a future focus in mind.
I took biomed class because not only did I want to learn about human body systems and different ways to get into the field, I also wanted to see the other careers within the medical field.
Not only can students explore possible careers, they come away with real-life job skills.
They have better skill at using a micropipette and how to do so accurately. They have skill on how to collect an EKG reading, how to do an accurate manual blood pressure reading.
Those foundational skills make for in-demand employees for San Diego's booming health science and medical technology fields.
Biomedical science is one of the fastest growing industries that there is, and San Diego is one of the hubs, not just in California, but in the entire nation. So it's a perfect fit to offer these courses here, get the kids off to college in the area, and then hopefully into the many jobs that are in the area as well.
Biomedical science is one of the newest additions to Poway Unified's many career technical education pathways, with the goal of providing high school students with the academic and technical skills and the knowledge and training necessary to succeed in future careers.
From the classes that they take here at the high school, they can launch into a pathway at the college level. And that can lead to internships and all kinds of really unique opportunities for them.
Making college and career readiness for all students a reality.
Thank you, Christine. To continue here, our district just held a professional growth day last week, and I had the honor of speaking at the Classified Employees Professional Growth meeting. And I was honored to share with those in attendance my appreciation for their hard work and recognize the huge role they play as part of the team Poway United. We support the ongoing learning being pursued by both our certificated and classified staff in the pursuit of the highest quality of education for our students. It was really a joy to spend time in the Poway gymnasium, as cold as it was and as hard as the benches were. We had a great group of people there that took time out of their busy schedule to attend that training. Also, I'd like to give everyone a reminder of the fact that it's LCAP season, and that's underway right now. Of course, you all know it's a local control accountability plan. It's where the school district reaches out and invites people to be a part of the programs that will be offered in this district and decide on funding priorities. Our Learning Support Services team conducted site-based training for our principals, parents, teachers, and classified employee representatives, who will in turn be hosting LCAP forums at each of the schools in the month to come. We look forward to hearing your input, as it is vital in determining how the district's budget is best used for student success. If you can't attend a forum in person, your feedback is welcome online through our mobile app or link to the Poway United homepage. Unified, excuse me. This afternoon, several of us here on the board attended the Constitutional Challenge. Basically, it was the Super Bowl for Mesa Verde Middle School. We witnessed a riveting round of in-depth questions ranging from the three branches of government to the different constitutional amendments. I was proud to see that we are educating such informed citizens that will be our future voters and leaders. It was just amazing to see not only the participants answer the questions in rapid-fire succession, but to see the student body in the gymnasium assembled there and cheering their classmates on. And it was just a wonderful, energized event. We also just celebrated Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and I had a chance to watching third graders at Rolling Hills Elementary speak about and sing about the contributions of Dr. King. I was deeply touched by the message of equality and hope in the coming months many of our children will continue to appreciate Dr. King's contributions. Our schools are diverse in so many ways. It's a strength of ours that we need to continue to build and celebrate around the full year, not just in the month of January. Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Apostle. That brings us to our board member reports, and if it's all right with you, I'd love to start with you, Ms. Smith.
Happy New Year. Most people spend this time of the year reflecting upon their life over the past year and setting goals for the coming year. While I should be probably reflecting how I can eat healthier and exercise more, I've been thinking about leadership. I spent 2016 serving as Westview High School's student body president, which was one of the most important learning experiences I've had. And as rewarding as serving as president was and motivating as it was to improve my school, I learned that leadership is hard. In fact, it can be exhausting, draining, and challenging. Most leaders have learned this. I believe that most people here in this room today are leaders, whether it's in the district, on school sites, in the community, or that others just look up to you. And I want to share a few of my key takeaways from Presidency. First, I've learned that leadership is not grandiose. I learned that the best leaders tend to be stewards. They're there to serve the people they represent and advance a program or a group's goals. The best leaders are selfless. In ASB, they were the ones coming to school early to help set up for an event and spending weekends preparing for an upcoming pep rally. Quite honestly, when you're a leader, it's not about you. It's about the group's purpose. Second, I learned that leaders don't need to like everyone on their team, but they should be able to work with them. We all encounter people that we don't click with. I know I have. But quite honestly, you just get over it. Because when you get caught up in politics and vendettas, which seem to exist in every social realm, you detract from advancing the program. Coping with criticism is hard. Whether I heard criticism targeted at the ASB program or my leadership style, I struggled because I felt attacked for something I put so much heart and soul into. But I learned that you can pretty much expect criticism. It's inevitable. There's no way to satisfy everyone. And finally, third, You have to persevere. One of my all-time favorite quotes is said by Frederick Douglass: "With no struggle, there is no progress." You will encounter obstacles and adversities, but they only make you grow stronger. And you have to constantly remind yourself why you do the work you do. A lot of it may be behind the scenes work and that others may never recognize or appreciate it, so your gratification has to come from within. And of course, you have to really love what you do. I always said that coffee gets me through exams and finals, but passion got me through ASB. Let's commit ourselves to a year of leadership, whether it's at the district level or in your community. Let's commit ourselves to not being passive, but rather actively trying to improve our schools. I firmly believe that improving the world is not just a good idea, it's an obligation. So what are you going to do about it? Thank you.
I hope that was part of your college essay. That's wonderful. Thank you. Mr. Sellers.
I have no formal report other than to make a couple of comments. One is how strange it seems to sit up here without Andy. Not that that's a reflection on you, Darsh, but it's just really weird. And the other is that if things get a little weird up here, not that you'd really notice, the lacquer on these signs is really fresh. So that could explain a lot of things. So, but thank you all for coming.
Welcome. Happy New Year to everyone. This has to be one of the busiest starts to the new year. There's just so many activities. I had the honor of attending the Rancho Bernardo High School Friends of the Library meeting a couple of weeks ago, where Mr. Keith Wilson presented $1,000 to the FOL in honor of the work and dedication of Shirley Black and Richard Mason. And a plaque is going to also be made to put on the library wall there. And it was also a celebration of Richard's birthday. I guess to be polite, I shouldn't say the age, but one should be proud. I also wanted to give a shout out to Megan Gross, who makes us proud, just incredibly made the national rounds for the Teacher of the Year. I always feel a little sheepish about these awards, because I think about all the other teachers that go above and beyond and do incredible work for their students. And in that vein, I wanted to mention I also recently went on my son's AP Biology field trip to the Birch Aquarium. And they did a lab experiment that was part of the College Board's requirements for labs. And, you know, the teachers like to do some of these out of the classroom, you know, to make it more germane and interactive. And they didn't have one of these programs in our county. So the class used to have to go to the Aquarium of the Pacific up in Long Beach to do this lab, and other classes in other high schools did these as well. So it was a very long all-day trip. So all of the AP biology teachers in our district got together and met with the heads of our local Birch Aquarium and asked if they would implement this program, and they did. And so we are the first district in the county to be doing these labs. So I think that's really exciting. And it was a terrific day, and it was neat to watch the kids at work doing their chemistry experiments. I also met with my counterparts on the San Diego Board of Education, and it had been previously mentioned these ongoing concerns with our new software, the PeopleSoft, and there's work to try to collaborate to find solutions to some of the residual problems. And what also came up were the safe haven resolutions that are being approved across the county, as well as available resources for concerned families, especially through Alliance San Diego. I've also been privy to or included in emails between our food and nutrition department and a eager group of parents interested in exploring farm-to-table and farm-to-school programs. And what resulted from these back-and-forth communications is the intent to create a school wellness council. And this is moving forward, and it was mentioned by this head of food and nutrition that normally 1 or 2 board members serve on this wellness council. And so I hope our board will soon have the discussion as to who may be interested in serving on that. And that's a real holistic approach to the healthy lifestyle for the students, encompassing not just the foods, the whole foods, but exercise programs and lifestyle issues as well. And last weekend, I also had the pleasure of attending the National Electrical Contractors Association, their installation dinner. It was their 75th installation dinner. I actually hadn't been in 4 years. So that it's a great opportunity to meet and network with some public officials around the county. And I actually met the lead auditor for the San Diego Unified Audit Committee, their standing committee, and he had mentioned the county treasurer, Dan McAllister, also serves on this committee. And this is work our board will be potentially engaging in, potentially starting a subcommittee such as this once we have the results of our internal audit. Also met with or spoke with our new city attorney, Mara Elliott, as well as the San Diego Unified board member, Mike McQuarrie. He's actually the one who introduced me to Eddie Parker, our current superintendent at Adobe Bluffs, who had started the Barnard Mandarin Immersion Program and is hoping to start a program like that here. And Dr. Mike, as he likes to be called, he's interested in, and so am I, increasing some partnerships between our school districts. I also spoke with our Senator Joel Anderson, our state senator, who is one of the senators who represents a part of our district, mostly the southeastern portion. And he had said that every December, he invites school board members and superintendents to come meet with him to discuss legislation, current proposals, and what the board and superintendent would like to see from our state legislature. And he said his door is always open. If we'd like to have that meeting, then we should follow up with him. I also, at my table, I sat with Bert Richardson, who's one of the leaders at the National Electrical Contractors Training Center, and he was very much interested in increasing their outreach to our students to communicate opportunities that exist in their electrical apprenticeship program, which offers tuition-free college education as well as health benefits and retirement benefits. And I know he's already reached out to Kathleen Porter to discuss that. And this Thursday, I will be attending the performance of John Ritter's Magnificat, performed by our advanced choirs and soloists from each of our high schools, and I'm very much looking forward to that. And on Saturday, I'll be attending a Chinese New Year celebration sponsored by the House of China and the Chinese School of San Diego to raise funds for to support the Mandarin language acquisition at the Barnard Academy, as well as to support some student essay contests at Chinese heritage schools. And this Sunday, the student representative from Rancho Bernardo mentioned, he mentioned both the Friends of the Library donation as well as the Booking It for Broncos 5K, and my husband and I will be running that this weekend. This is the 3rd annual one. I think their principal, Dave Lemaster, and I will be in hot competition for first place. So come out and watch. Assemblymember Brian Mainshine will be out there to give out awards, and the MC will be Mr. DiMatteo, and as well as our former county supervisor, Dave Roberts. And lastly, I would like to thank Dr. Apostle. I would like to thank you. You started in the middle of November. We headed straight into the holidays, And so it's been a relatively short time since you've been here, but your enthusiasm, your energy, your passion, your compassion has been evident, and you've been universally well received throughout the district. And in fact, I think the most common question I get is, can you be our permanent superintendent? And my response is, well, it was a condition that the interim not be one of our applicants, but we can certainly talk about a transition period that perhaps begins at the end of the term, which may be good for all parties involved. But I would like to thank you for all of your efforts. You've gone to practically all of our school sites. You've been engaged with all of our stakeholders, our parents, our staff, our teachers, our community members, and you make a significant effort to always lift spirits, and it's a wonderful thing. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My report is not quite that long, but I'm still learning what the etiquette is on all of these things. Happy New Year to everybody. There were a few community school-related events that I attended during the last couple of weeks since the last board meeting. One is I was able to attend the Palomar Council PTA meeting in January, and the spotlight school was Shoal Creek. I've learned that every month that they have their meetings at a different school site, so that different schools can have the opportunity to highlight the programs that they have at their school. Two interesting things that were reported out of that meeting was that the Palomar Council PTA was able to adopt over 400 families and was able to serve those families with gifts during the holiday time. And this is really a significant thing that our community participates in, because these are families, if you haven't participated in the Adopt a Family program, these are families that aren't asking for wild and crazy things. They're asking for socks and shoes, jackets, things like that, and for the kids, maybe a new toy. It's really an incredible program. And they were also able to report out on the Reflections program, which is a national program to appreciate the arts that our children participate in. I also attended the Westview Symphony Orchestra performance with Ben Vereen. As Nathan Shaw mentioned, our Westview Orchestra performed with the Broadway performer Ben Vereen. And when Nathan Shaw described it, he said it was students and professionals, but I would say they were professionals all around. I was impressed with the quality of music that these students put out. The program was arranged by our director, Jerry Webb. So a big shout out to her and how she pulled this whole thing together. It was really an incredible performance. And last, I was also able to attend the Constitutional Challenge with the rest of some of the board members here. And that was also very, very impressive. These kids had known the facts like it was just instinct about the Constitution, about the branches of government. And I really hope that their enthusiasm for our government persists as they pursue careers after high school, because we need kids like this with this kind of enthusiasm and knowledge and respect for the way history really was. And then on a forward-looking endeavor, upon recommendation from board members Beatty and Sellers, I will be signing up for the Masters in Board Governance courses from CSBA. And if the schedule allows, I'll be able to finish that even within this calendar year. I have initiated conversations with the City of San Diego Subcommittee for Education, and I'm awaiting response. TJ has also been included in that initial conversation, the email. And I hope that we'll be working with the city pretty soon. As I mentioned in the last meeting, I wanted to revive that connection. I see a lot of potential for collaboration. I am working on a schedule to visit the various school sites. That is a personal goal of mine. I want to make sure I get out to every school site, as well as every facility site, including the bus depot, the food and nutrition site. I want to see what the assets are that we have and what we have to maintain. And I'll close with January has already been very, very busy, and it's only halfway done. So there's a lot of work to do for the rest of January before my next board report, and I look forward to seeing the sites that our school district has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, welcome everybody. Happy New Year again. First meeting since December. Just a few items on my report. Since our last meeting, had the pleasure of participating in a IBPS board study session just days after our last board meeting. I found that very very instructive, and look forward to doing more with the IPPS process with all of our bargaining units. Also, just a matter of days after our last board meeting, attended with Dr. Patel and Dr. Apostle Abraxas High School graduation. That was a fantastic ceremony, very moving, and it was a privilege to be part of that ceremony. I also attended the Constitutional Challenge today at Mesa Verde Middle School. Board Member O'Connor Ratcliffe and I were admonished not to yell out the answers and tip off the students. And just a quick shout out, I don't know if he's watching, but kudos, congratulations to Commander Rick Jordan from Westview High School. Real honor and privilege to have worked with him for a number of years now, apart from Poway Unified, and he's been very helpful in pulling together an annual Flag Day program up at Hilltop Park in Rancho Penasquitos. Also, I'll join the chorus of congratulations to Megan Gross on her finalist position for National Teacher of the Year. And for the record, these plaques up here, while you can't put an intrinsic value on them, I think it's fair to say they cost less than $50, and we will not have to claim them on our Form 700. So thank you very much.
The good news, too, is this is the second one I've received, but it smelled very strongly for 2 days, and then it was gone. So we're going to be in the clear. Just leave it in your garage for a couple of days. You'll be fine. Yeah. It might be. I'll have to see. All right. So most of you, well, let me say at the beginning, since we've got a newbie and we all tend to forget, we in the past had agreed on about 3 to 5 minutes for each of our board member reports. So I'm usually the abuser here, so we'll see. Okay, so I attended several performances over the past month. The 5th grade band at Adobe Bluffs Elementary under the tutelage of Miss Posterero. She's one of PowayUSD's 5 elementary music teachers. The students all played several songs, a very appreciative peer and parent audience there, but all 29 of our elementary schools have a 5th grade music program, and I think they are doing a superb job. Some of these students have never picked up an instrument before, and in that very short time between the beginning of the school year and right before our winter break, they're playing music. They're playing songs together. It sounded great. Westview High School's choral department show Comfort and Joy with Mesa Verde Middle School's 2 choirs did a show. I brought my mom. We enjoyed this show tremendously. They were so good. Stepping Out Live with Ben Vereen, accompanied by Westview's orchestra. Again, simply outstanding, really professional work. It was amazing, with Liza Minnelli sitting in front of me. Again, thanks to Jerry Webb for making that happen. This is really exciting stuff for our students over there at Westview. And as Mr. Rasul mentioned, all of our high school choirs are joining forces to sing the Magnificat on Thursday evening. Tickets are available. I'm looking forward to that. Can't wait. I'm also eagerly anticipating our high school musical season coming up. The quality of those shows is so, so high. I plan to be at as many of those as I can, introduce my daughter to some of those musical theater shows that you don't see that often. So I can't wait. It is her 10th birthday tonight, so I know she's probably not watching. That's, watching from home. But just in case, love you, darling. Hugs and kisses to her. I did meet with Poway High's robotics just before the break as well, and I got a sign then too, but a different one. So I'm feeling special about that. But it was really, really incredible. They have 2 teams, kind of their beginners and their more advanced one, and to see them working out, showing off what their bots can do, and they are building and programming these from scratch. This is what these students are learning to do already at that stage. Really, really impressive. And so I wanted to thank Kathy Peroni also for inviting me. She's their parent booster, I think, president. So that was incredible. And now I have 2 keepsakes, and we all have one. So that's great. And remember, this is Poway High School's old bleachers, so I hate to think what Classified was going through. If they had to sit on the old bleachers, the new ones have got to be better.
They're crossing over 50 threshold.
All right. Anyway, okay. The Constitutional Challenge we heard about. This is the second time I've been, though. Really, really exciting. They know their stuff. Mr. Strachan invited us again, and it was worth the time to be there. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up here with my real passion here. Last week was the 7th annual Ability Awareness Day at Adobe Bluffs Elementary School, Every student there, from preschool through 5th grade, had a chance to learn from some really amazing people there who experience a disability of some kind. So this year they featured deafness, missing limbs, autism, paralysis, and dwarfism. So the kids got to learn a little bit about each of these disabilities in rotations with each speaker that lasted 20 minutes apiece. They also learned about the amazing ways that these presenters have overcome some of the challenges presented by those disabilities. But the main message of the day was that there are just so many things about them that are not affected by their disabilities, and that they really want to be treated just like everyone else. One of my favorite moments of the day came from presenter Mark Goffini, who was born without arms. He told the students about when he was a kid, how everyone assumes that a kid without arms is going to choose an activity like soccer because he has legs and they work just fine. But instead, he went the other way, something that no one would expect from a child without arms. He learned to play the guitar with his feet. And he became so good that as an adult, he's a recording artist. He performs on stage with his band all the time, and he played and sang for the kids. They were absolutely astounded. He told them, whatever you want to do with your life, you can, even if it's hard, even if other people don't think you can do it. If you want to do it, you can. And that was a great message for the kids to come away with, and all of the speakers were incredibly inspirational. At the conclusion of that program, the kids actually all signed a pledge to be a super friend. And what that means is they're promising to use respectful language in their everyday speech, promote unity, be kind, and accept and include all people. So what an opportunity for those students. Imagine what that does for the kids' understanding of others, the people in their environment out in the world, and even at their own school. For learning and social environment, think about the bullying that they can eliminate with these kinds of learning to understand what other people are going through and understand how they want to be treated. I wish every school in the district would do something like it. And that's my report. So thank you very much, everyone. And with that, we have a couple early agenda items. B4. This is the initial proposal from Poway School Employees Association, Operation Support Services Unit 2 to the Board of Education. Ms. Hueso.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, Interim Superintendent Dr. Apostle. Under Government Code, prior to initiating negotiations, the board is asked to receive the initial proposal for contract negotiations from Poway School Employees Association, Operation Support Services Unit 2. Respectfully submitted.
And do we have any speakers on this item? No? I know that there are some representatives here. Anyone wishing to speak on this at this time? No? Okay. Then are there any questions for Ms. Hueso? All right, we do not have to take a vote on this. This is just our first, we're just receiving this over the first time.
That's correct.
Okay, good. Then if there are no questions, we'll move on. Okay, the second part of this is the initial proposal from the Board of Education to Poway School Employees Association's Operation Support Services Unit 2. Ms. Hueso.
As part of the Government Code requirements that the board present the initial proposal from the Board of Education to the Poway School Employees Association Operation Support Services Unit 2. Respectfully submitted.
Are there any questions on this item? Okay, again, since this is just our first reading, we will see this again at some point in the future. So, okay, thanks very much. That takes us to item C, our public comments. And with this, I will turn it over to Clerk Patel. Are there any comments?
Yes, tonight we have 3 speakers. This first speaker I'd like to call is Janet Latang.
Happy New Year, Dr. Apostle, Superintendent's Council, and the board. Thank you very much. First of all, what a great meeting tonight, and a lot of accolades for a lot of fantastic programs going on in PUSD. Just loving it, sitting back there and listening. Tonight I wanted to talk again about performing arts in Poway Unified. Thank you to Christine Peck and the district office for the recognition of PowayUSD students who made All Southern Honor Choir last fall, and that recognition is in tonight's agenda packet. Tonight I'd also like to share with you that PowayUSD students were selected for the All Southern Honor Band and Orchestra, and Jalen brought up talking about the Rancho Bernardo students, but students from all the high schools, I do believe, made that, and they will be rehearsing and performing this weekend in Orange County and Los Angeles County as part of the Southern California Band and Orchestra Conference. And what an awesome opportunity for these students. It's a great learning opportunity, and they have been working for years. And you talked about fifth grade band. I mean, most of these kids started then, and they've been working and practicing, and they've had some amazing teachers working with them and guiding them and sharing, the teachers sharing their passion and love of music with all of our students. And anyway, this is the payoff for all that hard work for both the students and the teachers. So many thanks to those teachers. And it doesn't stop there. We have the highest accolade for these musicians is to make all-state honor choir or all-state honor band or orchestra. And we've got 11 talented musicians who were selected for all-state honor band and orchestra. And then another 11 talented choristers were selected for the California All-State Honor Choir. And all of these 22 students will be rehearsing and performing as part of the California All-State Music Education Conference in San Jose, California, February 16th to the 19th. So congratulations to them. Again, they've been working really hard to make that, and it's quite an honor for our district and for these students and teachers. I also wanted to say thank you for supporting and going to concerts and such. You guys already talked about with stepping out with Ben Vereen, and what an awesome opportunity that our school district had. And my understanding is that the proceeds went to the PowayUSD Performing Arts. Thank you. What an amazing gift for our district, so, and the performing arts. So just wanted to shout out for that. Thank you. And then we already talked about the John Rutter Magnificat this Thursday night coming up, and my son will be singing in that. He's one of the tall guys in the back. And then we do have musical season coming up with 3 high schools performing in February. Del Norte High School with Steel Magnolias. Mount Carmel has the Addams Family, and Poway High School has Drowsy Chaperone. And those should be fantastic performances with the music department and the theater departments coming together. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I believe that was your child's name we saw in the packet under the superintendent's report. So
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next up is Mr. Joe Larkins.
My name is Joe Larkin. I live at 12219 Avenida Constantino, San Diego. And for the past 2 weeks, I've been the coordinator of a homeless shelter at San Rafael Catholic Church in Rancho Bernardo. This is a homeless shelter that takes up to 12 people, keeps them for 2 weeks, feeds them dinner every night, lunches in the morning, pack them lunch, breakfast, and we get all kinds of people. And at the very beginning of our program, we ended up with a woman and her husband who just came from Hawaii, a girl that was 5 years old, and a third grader. So I then encountered the Youth in Transition program, and I'm here to sing the praises of the people that run that program. They got them into Midland, and we spent about 3 hours there with a very wonderful lady named Sarah Cockrell. And so we got those kids involved and got them registered, but there was a gap of about 2.5 hours where the TK got out earlier than the daughter and the grade 3, and so Sarah went to great lengths and she got the little girl into ESS. Now the next day, with Sarah having watched this go on, a woman showed up, and she had a kindergartner, and she was in tears because she had no place to sleep that night. So Sarah said, well, we just saw this happen yesterday. She gave this lady my number. I worked with her for a couple hours on the phone. We got her into Interfaith Community Services where the people get vetted, and the next day that woman had a place to stay and her child is in school. I have to give really great credit to April Edgeron, who's the coordinator for this Youth in Transition program. And I've got to say that Sarah Cockrell is a really fine employee that you should all be proud of. I was proud that I could turn to my school district to help these kids because they can't be in the program unless they're in school. And then we got another 12-year-old, and he's now in Twin Peaks Middle School. Of course, I went back to April. We're becoming fast friends, and it's a terrific program, and you should be proud of it. Thank you very much.
Sir? Mr. Larkin, before you leave, first of all, thank you very much. We always appreciate when the district gets accolades for things, but I think you deserve some thanks for what you're doing. God bless you. Thank you for what you're doing.
Our last speaker for tonight is Mr. Richard Mason.
Good evening. I'm Richard Mason, representing Rancho Bernardo High School Friends of the Library. I'm a backup to Shirley Black, who was detained. But I want to talk about library staffing. I first began speaking to the board about it in 2007, but I'm following Ella Smith's advice to persevere. 2003, we had 2 library assistants at Rancho Bernardo High School. One was dropped that year because of budget constraints. 2009, the second library assistant was dropped, again because of budget restraints. But we've got a library with about 1,000 patrons a day, 20,000 book checkouts a year. It was so critical that Friends of the Library has hired a part-time library assistant, but unfortunately, only half-time. It's a matter of service to the students and also a matter of safety when there's not enough staff to take care of things. So we're asking that you restore a library assistant at Rancho Bernardo High School. Thank you very much.
And that's it. Okay, that concludes our public comment. Thank you very much. Mr. Mason, you didn't tell us how old you were, but happy birthday anyway. This takes us to our action items, and our first is item D101, ratification of stipulated agreement for student expulsion. Dr. Robertson.
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight we have one stipulated agreement for the board's action.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? Second. And on a motion by Mr. Zane, second by Ms. Beatty, is there any discussion? All right, all in favor? I am sorry, and I should note that because this is a discipline issue, our student board member will not be participating. All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. D102, approval of the 2016-17 Local Education Agency Plan, otherwise known as LEAP. Dr. Robertson.
Thank you, Madam President. Each year under NCLB, we've met the requirement of bringing forward the LEAP for your action. With the change to ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act, which provides increased flexibility to states and accountability measures, our state responded with what we have as the LCAP, which aligns with the LEAP, and at some point we expect the LCAP to replace the LEAP. So this is just a continuance of a requirement that we have, and we update it every year. And we submit this for your action.
Thank you, Dr. Robertson. Are there any questions on this item? How much longer are we going to have to do this?
Not sure. We cross our fingers every year.
Okay. This seems quite duplicative to me, and boy. All right, here's hoping. Is there a motion?
I move to approve.
A motion by Dr. Patel, second by Ms. Beatty. Any further discussion before we take a vote on this one? And for this one, I will go to our student board member, Ms. Smith.
Aye.
And for everyone else, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that is unanimous. Thanks very much. Here's hoping it's the last time. Item D301. This is a public hearing and approval of resolution number 50-2017 entitled Dedication of an Easement to San Diego Gas and Electric at Willow Grove Elementary School. Mr. Ozimzadeh.
We have to declare a public hearing, then after that I will have a recommendation.
Okay, then at this time, I declare the public hearing open. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on this item? You'll receive 3 minutes. You can just come forward now. All right, going, gone. All right, our public hearing is now closed. Thank you. Now, Mr. Zimzadeh.
Yes, Madam President, I recommend approval of resolution number 50-2017 entitled Dedication of an Easement to San Diego Gas and Electric at Willow Grove Elementary School.
Are there any questions on this item? All right, we have seen this. This is the second time. So is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Zane, second by Ms. Beatty. Any further discussion? All right, on this one, I will go to our student board member, Ms. Smith.
Aye.
And for everyone else, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you. We are whipping through this. And that takes us through our consent calendar to F105. This is our College Readiness Block Grant Funding Plan, first reading. This is very exciting for me. Dr. Robertson.
All right, thank you, Madam President. So earlier this year, we were informed that we would be receiving part of a College Readiness Block Grant that was allocated to the whole state. As part of this grant, a plan must be submitted to the board for 2 readings, so this is coming as a first reading. The plan we have presented below is just part of the funding of the 2-year grant, and I'm going to continue to work with the high schools to bring forth another plan for the remainder of the grant. So again, this is just a plan for about $160,000 of it. Any questions?
Thank you for that information. I'm looking forward to seeing how that happens, and
Me too.
love the grant money. Love seeing that. All right, this is taking us right through to this takes us to H. This is our new board business. Item H1 is Safe Haven. This is the first item brought forward independently by our student board member, Ms. Smith. So I'll turn it over to you.
I just wanted to have a discussion with the board this evening about something that a lot of districts across the state have been introducing, and they're called Safe Haven resolutions. So the state superintendent of public instruction, Tom Torlakson, released a letter in late December, and he encouraged all schools to be declared safe havens. Most of these resolutions are very symbolic. They will affirm that the Immigration and Customs Enforcement or ICE agents cannot enter schools or district property without prior written approval from the superintendent. And something that really stood out to me, why this caught my attention in the first place, is because I think it was the San Diego Union Tribune wrote about San Diego Unified approving this resolution. And what they proclaimed is that when students are worried whether they themselves, their loved ones, their family are at risk of being deported, then it poses significant barriers to their education. So, and it is a very symbolic resolution, but I want to see the board's take on it, if this is something we potentially might want to take on, or if there are other ways we can go about protecting students who might be at risk right now.
So I want to jump in and just mention that your passion for this issue is really quite impressive. It's apparent that you put in a lot of work on this. Thank you for bringing the student perspective on this. It's really valuable for us. But before I open this up to every other board member's comments. Mr. Sellers did add his name to this item, so you can pick up the discussion first if you'd like.
Yeah, actually, just to dovetail into what Ella said, I made copies of the news release and the letter written by Chief Torlexon, and there's also attached a copy of a resolution that was passed by Sacramento City Schools. I put it forth not so much for its content, but its format, because I think that's basically what the resolution, the Safe Haven resolution, would look like. I very much support Ella's idea that we should consider this. In terms of, I don't know how you want it brought forward, if you want to have us take a crack at drafting one and then bring that forward for discussion, but I do think it should be put on a future agenda for action one way or the other, because I do think it's relevant, certainly to our educational mission.
Okay, at this time, I guess then I'd like to open it up to other board members to comment on this. I have things I'd like to add, but I'll open it up to other board members first.
Just to say off the bat, I really like to praise Ella for bringing this forward. It takes a little bit of courage to take steps like this. I know we might not think in our community that this is a courageous thing, but I do believe that it takes courage for a student to represent her demographic, her group of students on campus. We might not know what's going on campus on our everyday lives as we're in the adult world, but certainly Ella has a good perspective of what's going on for students' lives. So I'd like to commend you for bringing this up, and I would like to take a further look at it.
Thank you. Did you want to jump in? I wanted to add that I've received some community input on this issue, asking for more explicit support for students who are worried. I do think we can help with that. Our schools must and will remain safe places for learning for everyone, no matter what. I'd like to put a copy of Superintendent Torlexon's letter on our website. I feel like that would be a great start, or maybe even break it down further to list explicitly those existing laws that protect student records, and maybe also explicitly outline what documents Poway Unified does collect and does not collect. I think these are very specific to our district that would be valuable for allaying any fears that students or their families may have. I would see that as a first step that I would wholeheartedly support.
Yeah, no, I support that too. So I support both things. That's an excellent idea to put this on the website, the Superintendent Torlexon's news release, and also further discussion at another meeting.
Weigh in?
Sure. Again, first I'd like to begin by giving credit to Ms. Smith for following her conviction and her passion on this issue. It does take courage to bring forward an issue like this, especially for the first time doing so at the board level. My personal opinion on this, and I agree with President O'Connor-Ratcliffe, that I think that there are ways to get out the information, the laws that are already in place to protect students that may be experiencing some form of anxiety, and the district website may be one form of medium for doing that. But I personally am not in favor of going down the road of passing a resolution to this effect. I have reviewed the resolution that was passed by Sacramento Unified. I do think that there's some fundamental differences, not just in the demographics of the district from a student body composition, but also I think the voters of Poway Unified were not analogous to San Francisco or Los Angeles or Sacramento. And I think that in light of the fact that even recently the board opted not to adopt a resolution dealing with the dyslexia issue, that for consistency's sake alone, I think that we ought to reserve the board entering into the realm of passing resolutions on items like this, and reserve them for times where we are recognizing contributions to the district by individuals or organizations. So that's my surface level thought on this. Again, I appreciate the underlying concern and empathy for your fellow students on this, but I do think that there's a way of addressing any anxiety that they may be experiencing by getting information out to them about the laws, procedures, et cetera, that are currently in place without the board having to adopt a resolution along the lines as the one distributed as an example.
I just want to reiterate that the Sacramento resolution is attached only as an example of format, not necessarily content.
And I would add that these resolutions are also being passed in school districts throughout San Diego County. And it's not simply just to enunciate existing laws, but to let our students know the steps our district and our parents, the steps that our district will take to ensure that they feel that they have a safe space here. And I think that's very important. We talk a lot about putting our students first. This is an opportunity to tell them that we will go to great lengths to keep them safe. And as our student board member said, that's pretty much a precursor to student learning, is that they feel safe. And I did want to add, I also wanted to give credit in addition to Ella and Mr. Sellers, a community member, Ms. Rosemary Barami, who happens to be sitting in the second row here, did email the board and asked our board to put forward this resolution that State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tom Torlakson, has been advocating for. So thank you, Rosemary.
No, Ms. Smith, absolutely. You started this.
Something that I really appreciate that Mrs. O'Connor-Radcliffe and Mr. Zane said is that we giving the resources out to our community, and I can't emphasize how important I think that is. And I think that's actually something some districts have not done. They just pass the resolution, but they kind of leave it at that. I think the benefit of the resolution, albeit it is very symbolic, I think when we synthesize it with these resources that would go out to families and this letter that State Superintendent Tom Torlakson released, I think it does send a very powerful message to our community that we care about the minority voices and voices that sometimes, I don't even want to say are too quiet, but sometimes those voices that are just blatantly too scared to speak up. And I think those voices are so important, and I can even say that they're overlooked because oftentimes they're too scared to speak up. And I just think that's not a really great place to be. And I'm ultimately, my goal is not to get this resolution passed. My goal is to serve those people in the best way we possibly can, and I hope we can come to a consensus what the best way is to serve them. Thank you.
I am absolutely in support of this concept, and I think getting the information out to our families and our students is the most important part of this by far. I have to agree with Mr. Zane in bringing up the dyslexia resolution that we decided was not appropriate for this board. I do want to talk about the reasons for that, and I do think it applies here too. That was support for a Dyslexia Awareness Month, and that is undoubtedly extremely important as well. I'm not going to compare what's more important, and I think that's a problem with adopting some resolutions and not others. I would like to have us stay away from adopting resolutions that fall outside of that that recommended recognition of students and community and staff contributions to the district or achievements. I think when we step outside of that, we open ourselves up to neglecting some groups and some issues that are very, very important. We could be passing resolutions constantly. I absolutely don't want to imply that I don't feel that this is important, because I absolutely do. I do think that there are very good ways that we can get that information out without resorting to a resolution that might open us up to accusations that we haven't been fair to other groups that wanted a resolution, or groups in the future that might want a resolution. So I'd prefer to stay away from resolutions and get the information out in another way. Ms. Beatty, were you? No. Oh, okay. That would be my personal preference here. Thank you for mentioning that, Mr. Singh.
So kind of on that note, anyone can completely shut me down at any point, but why is it necessarily a bad thing if we are passing resolutions that kind of look at specific groups? Because like something I'm really conscious about is like the difference between equality and equity. Equality is like giving everyone the same, but whereas equity is kind of giving specific groups almost like what they need to be more successful. I believe that's a great way to kind of go about solving opportunity gaps. So, I mean, say we do take on this resolution and we do take on like a dyslexia resolution. If that's what our community needs, and those are the specific ways we can solve those opportunity gaps among these groups, why is it such a bad thing? Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense, and no one's ever going to shut you down. We may not always agree, but we won't shut you down. and I don't agree at this time, but that doesn't mean that.
That's totally okay.
Yeah. Well, turn on your mic if you want to talk to someone.
That's totally okay.
Please.
Well, I think this is essentially akin to a first reading, so we can certainly discuss this and decide whether we have other ways of getting the essential information and still meet our goal of getting the information out there and showing our population that we are a safe place. And maybe if that requires putting a resolution out there, we can talk about that at that time. But I think the goal is to make sure our community has that information and that our students feel safe. So whatever information that we need to get out there, that we absolutely must get out there and let our families know that their children are safe.
Agreed.
In whatever languages are necessary.
Good point.
Well, just with regard to protocol, this is usually the first step when a board member puts something on the docket. The first step is to put it under new business, and then we would form a consensus to move it to the action item. So that's actually what we're doing here now. Okay. So getting down to brass tacks, we just have to determine if we have the 3 votes to move it to an action item. So, Ms. Patel, unfortunately, you're in the middle. We've got a 2-2.
So then would it be an action item as is or to be discussed and then
I think at this point it would be up to Ms. Smith here, I think, as the first mover. If you don't want to kind of formulate what you're looking for here, we could move to Mr. Sellers maybe as the second person on this. But I'd like to open it to you since you're the first one to ask for this to be put on our agenda.
I'm a little confused. Am I supposed to?
I think what Ms. Beatty is suggesting is that we will look to see if there are 3 votes here to adopt or to look at consider a resolution next month, or if we want to go at it in another way. I think before we go there, I think though we do have some consensus here. I mean, all 6 of us are saying the same thing, that we want this information out there as soon as possible, preferably on our district's website, to share that specific PUSD information with our families, and then we don't have to wait for that. No. Okay, so we can give some direction right now that, Dr. Apostle, it looks like we would love to see that information on our website as soon as possible. We happy with that? Okay, let's move on to the secondary part then about considering a resolution or not.
I assume that the information also includes Mr. Torlickson's letter. You can put the press release on there, but the letter is probably more direct and informative.
Much better.
Yeah, and the press release is just a summarization of the letter. I'm inclined to simply say, look, let's just docket this as an action item. I'm happy to write the resolution in concert with Ms. Smith or not, or anyone else who wants to participate. But, I think that we should bring it forward as an action item. If we choose not to adopt it, I think that's, certainly our prerogative, but I do think that we should at least debate it, and we have to have something to debate before we can do that.
So I guess I'd like to note again that, Ms. Smith, you make a good point that there are some important issues out there and groups who we're looking for equity, not equality. But I would argue that it's the louder voices that are going to get our attention, and that's not always equity. and I still prefer not to accomplish this via a resolution. I think it's absolutely more effective to put it on the website. A resolution really carries nothing. It's very symbolic, as you said. The information on our website is what families and students can look to know that they're supported here and that this is a safe environment and a safe haven. For me, I prefer that we never get into weighing, you know, who deserves equality versus equity and which groups we should address. And I would rather never get into that. That's my personal preference. And if this were to come before us as a resolution, I can't see myself ever voting against this. I think it's important, but I just don't want a resolution. I think it sets a bad precedent for our district and for this board and the things that we may consider going forward and the things that we may accidentally neglect to consider. I don't want to do that. I don't want to put any group and make them think that they're less because we didn't consider a resolution on them or we didn't independently come up with it, and we should have. I just don't want us to get into that. That's my preference. So I do think that we probably have two for and two against moving forward with a resolution versus just, boy, I hate to do this to our brand new board member like this.
I guess this is what I signed up for.
Well, and let me offer another option. Just thinking, once we get this on our website, we can see if families and students are happy with that, or if they do want more, and we could consider it maybe not at our January 31st, but at our February meeting. That's another option to throw into the mix.
You know, it's funny because that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm always looking for the way to get in the middle of, like, be in the middle and get to the middle ground. I think we need to get the information out there. That's the higher priority. Absolutely. And if we see a concern with ICE actually coming in or maybe making inquiries, we see movement that way, then we need to come in and step up and probably do a resolution at that time. My concern is that this will be a political use, and we are a nonpartisan board. That's my concern right now. That's what I'm weighing in my head. Could this be used for partisan purposes when this is a nonpartisan board?
We did have positive and negative feedback when then Acting Superintendent Dr. Robertson put out a letter talking about how we were going to, have zero tolerance for bullying of any variety because some of that was popping up at some of our school sites. There was a little of each on that, and I think overall it was an important message to send to families and parents in the community. But yes, if you're talking about political, yes, absolutely, it pops up that way sometimes.
And at the same time, I don't think we should steer away from something because it'll be difficult or challenging. So I'm more inclined to proceed with the resolution and see where it goes. But I would rather wait and do it in the order you suggested as the third option. I don't know if that would be amenable to Ms. Smith.
So am I hearing you say that we should revisit this not as an action item, but possibly as another discussion in
the
January 31st?
That's correct.
Okay, that's a middle area that no one mentioned. So, well,
but
I mean,
it's Ms. Smith's motion. So,
well, there's no motion here because it's not an action item, but we're just looking for consensus. There's no support, no consensus either direction unless we build some consensus for this wait and see approach. And I'm not seeing enough heads shaking on the wait and see approach either. So at this point, Mr. Sellers.
Well, I'm inclined to go with whatever Ella thinks is appropriate. It strikes me that this middle way probably would be agreeable to you, that we put forth the information onto the website, the letter, et cetera, and then we gauge the response. As you say, we had some response to Dr. Robertson's letter, and we can always put this proposal back on Section H in 2 weeks or a month or whenever. And so that's what I'm understanding Dr. Patel is asking us to do. I'm okay with that. Are you okay with that, Ella?
Kind of from my perspective, I'd like to go in a direction that all 6 of us can agree in. So it seems that all of us can agree that we want something in the meantime on the website and possibly pushed out to families. And if that's something we can agree on, then I think that's something that we should commit to. If all of us aren't completely set on the resolution, then that just suggests to me that maybe our community wouldn't also be completely set on the resolution. So I think Mr. Zane mentioned to me once, let's not confuse the important with the urgent, or something along those lines, but it was eloquent. We can wait on it for sure and revisit this possibly at a later date and just address the needs of our community as they arise. So, did that make sense?
I think it does. And Dr. Apostle, do you have any clarifying questions for us? I think we've given a direction here, but
What may appear on the website is it's critical that we represent the interests of the board. And my question is, who is the author of what is then presented on the website? Who owns it? Okay.
well, I think that could be either way. If we're asking that you post the letter from Superintendent Torlakson, and in addition add some information about those existing laws. I think he's outlined them well in his letter, actually, but breaking down what documents Poway Unified is collecting and what we're not collecting, that's more specific to us, that I think is a necessary addition to whatever we put onto our website to make it specific for us and specific for families. I think his letter is very specific and well done, but I think the more specific we can get about what we do here already and what our current practice is, and that we will continue with that, I think that's very important.
So I'm assuming this is a message from the board to the community.
Well, I'd like to make a proposal, and this is along the lines of Plan C, so to speak, and that is that we just post Superintendent Torlakson's letter, and then when we revisit this at the January 31st meeting, then staff will have provided us with some of the information specific to our district, and then we can decide at that time, do we want to incorporate that in our own resolution or incorporate that in an informational? Because I do think what Dr. Apostle is getting at is it should come from the board. I think it's important enough that the author is the Board of Education.
What you're suggesting is very doable. Okay.
I don't disagree with Ms. Beatty at all. The only finer point I'd put on it, to the extent it's a nuance but an important one that often gets lost, is that the board is the district. And so I would suggest that this is the district sharing this letter from the state superintendent, not the board sharing this letter from the state superintendent. This is the district putting it out there.
You mean just that the title is this is coming from the, yes.
Correct.
That's fine.
Ms. Smith.
Hi again. Just one thing about that. I haven't read the letter in a while, well, probably within like a week or so, and I don't remember it, obviously, word for word, but shouldn't we all read the letter and first maybe make sure that it's something that we can stand behind? And also, I believe the letter, kind of like the title of this article says, State Schools Chief Tom Torlakson urges safe haven designation for California's public schools. So if this is going out to our community, they're going to see something from Tom Torlakson that says urging school districts to become safe havens. It could come back at us and say, well, why aren't we a safe haven? And then it just kind of repeats itself. This isn't something we might want to resolve. Does that make sense?
Again, a clarifying point. I suppose the agreement was we're not sharing the news release. We're sharing the official letter. So absent the news release portion.
And I think in the letter, though, he does urge school districts to become these safe haven to adopt these safe haven resolutions.
Yeah. Point well taken. Maybe it's then if we're not ready to go that far. I still feel like I would like his letter posted, but if we don't want to go there, he does list out the existing laws that protect student records, and I think those are the really critical part of his letter anyway. Are we rethinking posting the whole letter?
It's a great point. One of the underlying reasons, and Dr. Patel and I think share this as you articulated it, is this is a very politically charged item, and clearly the first two paragraphs of the State Superintendent's letter are politically tinged, if you will. Starting with the third paragraph, as State Superintendent of Public Education Safety is my top priority, and from that point on, that's the information we really want to get out there, and that is the extent of the information I think we ought to endeavor to put out there on the website and see where we go with it.
Okay, I have another proposal then. What if we bring back in 2 weeks at our meeting, a kind of a synthesis of what's in this letter and what our district is doing, and we can make it a letter to the community from the board that we post on our website that lists all of the laws and many of the points from Superintendent Torlickson's letter, and perhaps the more specific items to Poway Unified, what we're collecting, what we're not collecting. And if we can actually make that letter perhaps a voting item, or get some consensus, maybe do another discussion on it, maybe we can do it that way. It will be a letter from the board to the community again, and we can put all of the relevant information that we want in there. Just another, oh boy. I thought I was going to get home for my daughter's birthday cake. Never mind.
I would caution the board to be careful about posting something that truly does not represent the interests of the entire board. While I believe the letter from the state superintendent is very clear, articulate, well done, if it doesn't quite meet the expectations and represent this great school district, I think that we have time that would allow us to craft something that does meet with the expectations of the entire board, and the board can stand behind that piece that is published on the district's website. We don't have to hurry through this. I think we need to be methodical and careful about what we post.
So if we can close this off, what are we talking about now? We want to compile the portions of that letter that we like, that we are all agreeing on tonight, because I think we're agreeing on the majority of the information for sure in that letter, and the sentiment, absolutely. And we'd like a little bit of additional information on what specifically Poway Unified is doing, and we'd like to kind of put it all together and make it something that we can agree on at our meeting on the 31st. Can it be ready that soon? Is that
We'll do our very
something that we
best.
can do?
We'll do our very best.
Is that agreeable to the board then at this point? Okay. All right. That sounds like what we're doing. Wow. Next time you bring an item, I'm giving it a longer period of time in my brain. Okay. Thank you so much, Ella. Ms. Smith, excuse me. At this point then, we're on H2, which is a board goals discussion.
Madam President, there is a speaker slip regarding this item.
Which item? H2?
H2.
For board goals? Okay.
Yes.
I'm trying to decide, do we?
I know.
Yeah, I guess we do. So, okay, go ahead and call.
Ms. Jessica Shi. Since you weren't here at the beginning of the meeting, I remind you that you have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. This is on. Okay, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak in front of the board. My name is Jessica Shi. I reside in Rancho Penasquito. I'm a parent of 2 PowayUSD students. I also serve as Vice Chair of PowayUSD Educational Technology Advisory Committee from 2015 to 2016 school year. Going to the new year, I would like to urge the board to make ensuring a safe learning environment for all students a top priority. As presented in eTech's official report last May, there are increasing evidence of detrimental impacts of digital devices on human health, including but not limited to computer vision syndrome, internet addiction, and so on. And kids and teens are the most vulnerable victims. In particular, prevalence of school myopia, commonly known as nearsightedness, has increased to 50% among young adults in the U.S.
due to increasing screen time. At the same time, there's no convincing evidence that educational technology improves K-12 student performance. The most comprehensive studies conducted by Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development in 31 countries show a surprise result that computers do not improve student performance in K-12. So given the high health risk and uncertainty in effectiveness, I'd like to urge the district to change the use of educational technology in schools only as optional and proceed with caution and sufficient knowledge in health to ensure a safe learning environment for all students. I also would like to urge the district to clearly inform all parents potential health risk to their children to avoid any future legal liability of the district. I believe it's in the best interest of all our children and it's also in the best interest of our district. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, at this time then, and I'm sorry, I had intended to send out an email to everyone to kind of clarify what I meant by this item, but I'd like for each board member to share maybe 2 or 3 goals for the coming year, and I have in mind goals for our district rather than board self-evaluation types of goals. I would like to talk about those goals, maybe save them for the next meeting or possibly the February meeting, but that's kind of what I was thinking, goals for the district. So I could start at the end and come this way, or anybody who'd like to start, I'm willing to hear it. Let's not go forever, but 2 or 3 of your top priorities. Yeah, Mr. Sellers.
I actually have 5, but it won't take that long to go through them. And these were the same 5 priorities I was going to propose as board president had I been elected. One is that we need to hire a superintendent who's lucky to be here and who we're lucky to have. I'm less concerned with how long that takes than I am with getting the right person. I think we're in great hands with Dr. Apostle, and he's committed to sticking around as long as it takes to make that transition. And so I'm setting the bar very high in terms of what we're looking for in a superintendent. I think we should put together a 5-year rolling strategic plan. We don't have one in this district, and it's sort of unheard of that an organization of this size doesn't have a strategic plan and that it's not updated on an annual basis, because without a plan of where you're going, you're certainly not going to get there. Or as Satchel Paige said, if we don't change where we're going, we're going to wind up where we're headed. The third is that I'd like to use that strategic plan to undertake an administrative reorganization of the district, starting in the district office. The fourth item is we need to attack the structural deficit once and for all. And 5 is we need to address the cabs. Either we need to address them, or say that we can address them, or say we're going to address them at some future time, but we've gone 2 years without really putting them on the front burner, and I think that time has come.
Thanks very much. I think we're probably going to find that several of us would agree with many of those points, if not all of them, yeah. Ms. Smith, would you like to take a shot at this?
Sure. I just wrote down a few things off the top of my head right now. One group I've always been really conscious of are students with socioeconomic barriers. And just off the top of my head, like, I know that ASB programs try to do a lot for them. Like Westview, we orchestrated a school supply drive at the in the fall to basically raise school supplies for students in need. And somebody mentioned earlier, I believe it was Dr. Patel, about Adopt a Family that PTA orchestrates, and that helped over 400 local families. And I really think that, like, our student government programs, our PTAs, they're doing great things for students with socioeconomic barriers. So I guess continuing those efforts and supporting them. And I'm going to be really annoying about student leadership. I've talked about it in my board report, and Nathan brought some great things up today. But I really believe that ASB programs, student government programs, do really great things for their campuses. So it's always really great. When I was ASB, seeing board members stop by. So that's an easier effort when you're on school sites. I think those whether it's like an elementary school student council or a high school ASB program, it's just really great to see district support and leadership there. So just a few things on my mind.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone like to go next? Ms. Beatty?
Well, I think one of our top priorities should be including our interim superintendent in the discussion. We had asked him to set some goals, and as part of his performance evaluation, Dr. Apostle put together a draft proposal, his entry plan, and so I think we need to make a priority to sit down with Dr. Apostle and discuss those proposals, which encompass many of the things that have already been put forward. I know there's been a request for a set meeting date. Has everyone responded to that? And do we have a set date and time yet for that meeting?
I don't believe that's been decided, set in stone yet. No, but
okay. So I would like to ask
as soon as it happens.
I would like to ask that we get that meeting set. I know some dates were put out a couple of times to ask people to look at their calendars and decide when we can have that meeting. I'm available on all the dates. I think you had some restrictions, so has everyone put forward dates that we can meet on that? Okay.
Okay, Dr. Patel.
So in addition to some of the bigger goals and obvious priorities that we have as a board, I distilled my thoughts into 5 very specific goals that are in alignment with our district goals. And I've divided them into 5 separate categories or areas that our district focuses on. The first one is student impact. So I would like to support new opportunities for collaboration with local organizations, such as our local community colleges, for career technical education, online learning, A through G coursework, and classroom resources to support student learning and open the range of learning opportunities for our students. Second goal has a facilities impact, and that would be to support new opportunities for collaboration with local entities such as businesses and the City of San Diego for joint use of facilities and to potentially offset maintenance expenditures, and that would have a budget impact as well. Third goal is regards being a global steward and a role model to our students and our community. And I've seen these things happening already within our school district, but I would like to further support implementation of sustainability best practices, such as waste reduction, recycling, renewable energy installation wherever possible, and local sourcing of food for our nutrition department, as well as materials for our office and our staff. Fourth goal is involving staff impact, and that is to support new programs and professional development, potentially through a contracted grant writer that would be working for the district, who would essentially pay for their own position through their grant writing. And that would ensure adequate resources and planning is put in place prior to launching new programs, such as technology implementation. And my fifth goal involves board impact. And again, I'd like to say, similar to what I said in my first report to the public, is I really want to strive for respectful collaboration on the board, so that we as a board can focus on student learning and well-being while also hiring a new superintendent, learning how to refinance the CAB, having robust processes and controls in place and making sure they're functioning, and managing our school district effectively. So I think if we have that respectful collaboration within our board, all the challenges that we'll be facing as a district can be addressed properly and respectfully. So those are my 5 succinct goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Zane.
Thank you. Number 5 was like a catch-all.
Yeah, of course.
There's like 21 things in there.
21.5?
I think we're going to see some similarities. I already heard several of them. First and foremost, number 1 goal would be the hiring of new superintendent. Ancillary to that is the associate superintendent for business support services. I think this is important as a goal. Addressing the CAB issue again, I brought that up at last month's meeting, and I think at some point soon we'll have a presentation on that topic. Also very interested in making sure that we do address the structural budget deficit, and the Budget Review Committee has done a great job at highlighting the importance of that, and look forward to doing more and having more meetings on that. Career technical education opportunities, more CTE opportunities. I think that should be a goal, and identifying more opportunities to expand CTE opportunities for students in the district. And then lastly, certainly not least, is dealing with school site or campus safety, and not in the sense that Ms. Yu was talking about a moment ago, but more from a security standpoint. I think that we ought to revisit and ensure that we are pursuing doing a safe schools assessment and looking at all aspects of security on campus, access to school sites, et cetera. Every day where there may be something not in place where it should be in place is a liability for us, and it's an urgent, it's an ASAP item. It's not something that gets kicked down the road 6 months and we start working on it. I think that every minute matters, every day matters, and we want to make sure that our school sites are secure from any potential outside threat.
Thank you. I think these are all very thoughtful, and I think I've kind of, my bullet points here touch on almost all of them. I would add in some improved community outreach. We were so much better than we were, but I think we can still do even better. That facilities plan, I agree, we need to get that going. We have a lot of facilities needs. We need to prioritize them and earmark funds to make sure we can get it done. I'd like now, we've had our IBPS, our interest-based problem-solving training. I'd like to course correct our IBPS practices from the past couple years and get it back where it should be, where we just learned that it should be, and get it going for all units if they want to participate. I think that's really important. Those partnerships we're talking about, online courses, advanced courses, CTE courses, some better partnerships with our local businesses, and Miramar Community College, Palomar Community College. I think that's an excellent idea. I'd like to revisit our district's homework policy. This recycling and sustainability education and work is important. The cabs, absolutely. Hiring that superintendent, that's number one. I'd like to do some work to keep working to address the achievement gap. That's something that's going to be with us, and we need to be working harder to find out what other districts are doing that works and try to implement it here if it can. But I think the last two things I want to mention, we have two important external reviews of our internal systems that are about to start. That special education review by FICMAT and the internal control audit. These are both so important, and when those both conclude, and they're going to take some time, I understand, but I want to make sure that we actually do something with those findings. I don't want us to sit on it until they become irrelevant. We need to make sure that change happens if and where it's needed, and that it happens fast. I think that's something that the board needs to be proactive about and stay on top of when those come back to us. And the last thing I want to mention is the technology plan. I spent a lot of time with the board's Educational Technology Advisory Committee last year. Those community members put in hours and hours to come up with recommendations. And, you know, I'm not going to claim to agree with every single one of them, but they all have some merit. And at the same time, the district put together a technology plan steering committee. And despite all of that work that both of the groups did and all that input, we have stalled. I would like to see the district move forward on this. Our IT department can't do what they have to do until we have in place a pretty comprehensive plan for our classroom technology curriculum in addition, and how we use it. So I would love for us to make sure we're keeping track and making some goals for the district to kind of follow through on and implement. Target this year. Put our classroom technology curriculum and use plan in place. Have our grade level technology learning standards out there. Maybe a sample lesson bank. I've talked to a lot of our teachers about this. They're all in. They'd love for this to happen and get some support for that. So I would like if the board wants it to happen, we can keep on it and make sure it does happen this year. It's going to require adequate training for our teachers who need to teach it, and also for our staff to support it. And that's a big commitment by the board. And if we do make that commitment, I think that our district will follow through and we can do it. So that's one of that's the last thing on my list at this time. But I don't think I disagree with really anything that's been said tonight. Ms. Beatty, you want to add something then?
Yeah, I did want to piggyback on the community the community advisory committees, because I know there was some frustration that they only had 5 minutes before the board, and I'd envisioned that we would perhaps get more into the weeds on these by having a workshop, say a single subject workshop, a day dedicated to looking at both of those and bringing back those committee members to discuss, some of the specific details, and then that would inform us as far as, giving direction as to how we wanted to proceed. And you brought up the audits as well, the FICMAT and the internal audit. The FICMAT, I think there was the discussion of the possibility, I don't know where that stands, but of putting that on hold while we conduct some of our own assessments into the special education programs. And I think that was something that Dr. Postle had some discussions with our director of student attendance and student discipline.
I think that's news to this board.
All the more reason to have that governance team discussion. And then I would add, with regard to the audit, we already have 2 internal audits that have been done. One was the forensic audit, and then another was the annual audit. And both of those came up with some significant findings that were similar in scope. And so I think it's incumbent upon us to address some of those issues that were brought up. We can already, as a board, roll up our sleeves and start doing the work of looking at where there's some gaps in policy or gaps in procedure. And so as we go forward, I would like to see that happen. With regard to the cabs, I'm the only board member here who was on the board when we went through this Dale Scott proposal back in the fall of 2014. I've got a lot of information just that I can part verbally, as well as reports that can be given, so that we're not reinventing the wheel. So I would like to request that before we move forward with, and a presentation from his team, that this board at least get up to speed with where we were and what happened last time, and what the reasons were last time that we decided not to go forward. Because it's going to be a time waster if nothing has changed materially to make things suddenly, to make it financially prudent to actually do a restructuring deal. And we paid, we actually got a report that was done free of charge, and a report that cost, and both of those assessments at that time said it's not a good deal. We would advise going forward, at least at this juncture, without more information. So we really need to find out if there's more information before we waste our time. And then, it was a very lightning rod issue when we went out to all the community forums and pitched this to the community. And I also think that as Dr. Apostle mentioned, we're heading into LCAP season, our local control accountability plan. So as we discuss our board priorities, we really ought to take a look at last year's LCAP and see where we are with regard to some of those goals. And many of those may be in alignment with some of the things that we brought up. But just to to keep everyone working on the oars rowing in the same direction, all of us working together, I think we should bring the LCAP back to to take a look at that and where we are as far as progress there. And other than that, I agree with everything that was mentioned. I've always talked about restoring programs, but obviously Mr. Sellers mentioned the structural deficit. We have to discuss deal with the structural deficit, the reorganization, and then see if there's funds left over for some of these other programs that we'd like to do. And I think it was the internal controls issues that was brought up. So, that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Singh.
Thank you. And actually, just for your information and to clarify, I agree with you regarding the cab issue. And offline, since the last board meeting, I clarified with Dr. Apostle my underlying intent in bringing that topic forward was to have that discussion we ought to be having that discussion. What are our options moving forward with regard to the cabs? Not as interested in having a presentation per se by Dale Scott and Associates at this time. If it comes to that as a result of our presentation given by staff or whomever, that's great. But I agree with your point. We need not have that just yet. We ought to have a conversation about what our options are before potentially getting to that point.
And to that end, I'll gather all the resources I have. I'll give them to Dr. Apostle, and then he can farm them out to the board and staff as far as what was done back in 2014.
Mr. Sellers.
I had just a couple of comments. One, in a lot of the themes were echoed by multiple board members. The one I didn't hear was my idea of the strategic plan. And the whole point to the strategic plan is that it gathers up all of these, worthwhile goals that we have, prioritizes them, turns them into a roadmap, and sets forth a timeline and benchmarks for achieving those things. So a strategic plan is very much in keeping with all of the things that have been put forth to this point. The other is regarding Dr. Apostle's 21 issues. Since that was brought up as one of the things that should be addressed, can we try to reach some consensus on whether or not we're interested in doing that? I'm interested in sitting down and evaluating those things as a board, those 21 items, as to which ones we think have merit, which ones we don't, and prioritizing his time for the duration of his stay here as interim.
I think we will be discussing that. Absolutely. Just haven't gotten the date out to all of us yet, but that's going to be happening in the very near future. Yes. On your 5-year strategic plan, I'm not opposed to a strategic plan. I find the LCAP to be the 3-year strategic plan. I guess I'd be interested in discussing maybe at another time what's different about what you'd like to do versus what the LCAP looks like, because that does have year by year what we want to accomplish in the first year, what we want to accomplish in the second and the third year. So I think for me that is a strategic plan. So if there's something in there that's not there that you'd like to see, maybe we can talk about that too at another time, or now.
No, I just wanted to clarify. It's a strategic plan of sorts. It's a limited strategic plan with regard mostly to educational issues and community outreach. It doesn't address any of our fiscal issues or any of the other things that have to be brought in line. And obviously the LCAP would influence and guide the strategic plan. You couldn't justify putting anything into the strategic plan that was in conflict with the LCAP, particularly since the LCAP is a legal document. But the strategic plan would be much more encompassing.
Okay, thank you. I think this is valuable, and I guess part of the reason I want to do this is, so that we can talk amongst ourselves and agree on some of these things, but also, to inform Dr. Apostle and everyone else up here about things that the board is interested in. But kind of though that we have some differences, we have a lot of common goals here, and I think we've echoed each other's goals over and over again here tonight. So I'd love to see us get together, work to achieve them here, and that was kind of my goal with this, at least one of the goals with this item. So thank you, everyone, for taking it seriously and giving it some thought. Item K, hooray, this is adjournment. Our next meeting, our regularly scheduled board meeting, is Tuesday, January 31st at 6 p.m. right here. Thanks very much, everybody. I should say we're adjourned at 8:12.
We're not as good as